Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Ready for some new drama from askalawyer? Let's go to the first one, about OP's in-laws, who are crazy about OP's husband's ex-wife and favors her children over OP's. Well, also, they were planning to leave her the family business, while OP's husband gets nothing. Well, I'm not surprised OP is upset. Even I got upset for OP. Anyway, listen to the end of the story to hear my insights on the situation. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My dear husband and I have 14 male and 12 female, children of our own. He has 2 daughters, 17 female and 20 female with baby mama. I've noticed that again and again, my in-laws favor baby mama's children. At first, I thought that maybe they are not very involved grandparents, but that's not the case with my stepdaughters. They are the most doting grandparents to the stepdaughters, gifting them expensive crap like every other day. In-laws are pretty rich, and even bought baby mama a new house so they could live closer to them. They have always loved baby mama. When we got married, they never showed me even an ounce of the same care. Even my husband feels second to baby mama when it comes to how much they adore baby mama. My in-laws are rich and wanted dear husband to study and take over their business someday. He chose otherwise and went into another field that created their stupid rift. But when dear husband started dating baby mama, who was actually in the same field of work as the in-laws, it's like they found a daughter they never had or something. She started working for them and still is to this day, despite the fact that my husband and baby mama had a very toxic marriage and divorce. But anyway, I've always felt less than her when it comes to my in-laws. When we had our first, my in-laws just gave us a call to congratulate. Like, that's it. They see our children only when they travel to them, but they practically live with my stepdaughters, always taking them to travel to some other country every few months. This always bothered me, but I tolerated it because I thought it's because my kids are younger and we don't live close to them. We would love to, but we can't afford that area, even though they generously bought baby mama a house there, but won't do the same for their own son. Recently, I was over at their house for dinner, and they were talking about retiring and taking stepdaughters to travel around Europe, and starting the process of leaving the family business to baby mama. I won't lie, this bothered me a little, because they know we are financially struggling at the moment. I would be happy to even work as a receptionist at their business, but every time I brought this up to them, they just sort of ignored it every time. I was a little drunk, so I asked them when they were going to take their other grandchildren to Disney or wherever, to which they stayed quiet. I also asked if they would leave any of the business to their own son. Father-in-law said no, since he never worked there, and they felt baby mama deserved it. I just told them to forget seeing their other grandchildren, since they don't even care, and left. Now, this was a whole month ago. I haven't heard back from them still. I did a little social media snooping. I know it's dumb, but I couldn't help it, and saw the younger stepdaughter posting their travel photos, and it stung a little. Mother-in-law and father-in-law look like they don't have a care in the world, while their own son is financially struggling. They're enjoying their summer, hopping around countries, while we can barely afford our 2-bedroom apartment with this ducking housing crisis. I don't know. I think I'm just tired. I want my children to have the same opportunities as my stepdaughters, like paying for their colleges or involving them in the family business. But I know that none of this will ever happen, and I can't help but feel a little resentful. I don't hate baby mama, but she has always been hogging my in-laws, so I felt that I never was able to develop a relationship with them. I don't know how I'm going to stop feeling this way. I think OP's in-laws are horrible and clearly favors her husband's ex and her kids. I would distance myself and never look back. I'm a huge stickler on fairness and loyalty, and regardless of similar field interests, their son is their son. Baby mama is just some woman he had kids with first. I can imagine how OP's husband feels. I know a lot of people would say it wasn't OP's place to deal with it, but she was defending her husband and her kids from horrible behavior, which comes from her in-laws. Let's see if the community agrees with me. New to Florida 2 says, I am sorry. Your feelings are genuine, but I think you have to let dear husband deal with his parents. No adult deserves money from their parents. His parents have the right to give money to whomever they want. Comparing what your kids get to what your stepkids get will only make you sick. The baby mama is not hogging your in-laws. Your in-laws are making their own decisions. Realistic Bike 7138 says, honestly, while I think the favoritism is wrong, here are some more thoughts. 1. Your husband deliberately chose to not work for the family business. He is probably not qualified to take the business over, unlike baby mama. 2. You made a decision for your children who are old enough to have a say and opinions in the matter. They may prefer some relationship to no relationship, but are more than old enough to have at least been consulted. 3. You made this decision intoxicated, without consulting your husband or trying a civil discussion first, so there may be better options. 4. Your husband and kids are not entitled to their money, and you made a decision that could have a huge financial impact on your own kids, cause the grandparents might at least have paid for college. 5. It sounds like they live closer and spend more time with your stepkids, and had baby mama work for them for years. So it makes sense on some level there's a stronger bond. It's also easier to travel with adults and older teens. Personally, I would apologize to your in-laws and just explain that your children would like to spend more time with them and are feeling a bit left out, and that you are sorry for your behavior. I don't blame you for getting upset, but I still would apologize for your kids. No Kai says, so your husband chose to not go into the family business, but still wants to reap benefits from said business? Baby mama isn't hogging anyone. They chose to do things this way. Your first paragraph should have told you everything about the situation. They are very close to this woman who they consider family in a way they are not with their son. They value her. They've all invested in each other. Her kids are getting those benefits because of how they all chose to live their lives. His parents aren't that close to their son or you by their own choice. Getting drunk at their house and asking about money likely made things worse. At this point, you probably need to accept that they are not going to be close to your partner or your family in the way you are wanting. They've chosen who they want as their family and who they want to support financially. They've spent a long time investing in a particular way the future is going to go, and it doesn't really involve your husband or his family. No point in wishing for things that won't happen. I, 24 male, wasn't even going to make a post about this, but my brother, who I'll call Turk, 25 male, made 4 posts about it, so I thought I should share my side of the story. I'll use the same names he did for the sake of simplicity. My fiancée is Maria, 24 female, and my ex is Jen, 24 female. A little over 5 years ago, my brother started dating Maria, my now fiancée. 3 months after they started dating, they set me up with her, now ex, best friend Jen. The 4 of us did a lot together since the girls were best friends. Turk and Maria dated for a year, and Jen and I dated for 9 months. At the end of our relationship, I came home early and found Turk and Jen having S in my bed. After I processed the situation, I called Maria because I'd want her to know if I was in her place. She came over and we confronted Turk and Jen. They dumped us, and I found out 2 days later, started dating each other. It broke me. I came home to find my brother ducking my girlfriend only to run off with her. I had to move back in with my parents. It was infuriating because they kept talking about how happy Turk and Jen were. Throughout the next couple of months, Maria and I started talking. We were 2 people in similar crappy situations, and we found some comfort in each other. 4 months after we got dumped, Maria and I officially started dating. 6 months after we got dumped, Turk found out that Jen was cheating on him, and she left him for the other guy. I actually found this out today from reading Turk's post. Maria would get the occasional message from Turk, trying to reconnect, but she ignored him. Anyway, moving on to now. Maria and I are engaged and getting married in September. My parents were invited until my mom called me and threatened to not come if I didn't invite Turk. I told her to not bother coming regardless. In my mother's eyes, Turk can do no wrong. When he ducked and started dating my ex, I told my parents everything he did, and my mom tried defending him. Our relationship isn't the greatest, but it was somewhat decent. After I uninvited my parents, I only uninvited my mom, but my dad texted me and said he's not coming if my mom isn't. Turk blew up my phone trying to get a hold of me. This is the first time he's even tried reaching out to me in 4 years. Well, looks like Turk is a golden child who can do no wrong. Basically, OP got betrayed not only by his girlfriend, but his brother, and even mother as she was taking Turk's side. But perhaps OP should invite his brother and parents to the wedding. He could give a speech thanking his brother for letting him catch Jen cheating with him while he was dating Maria, and allowing him and Maria to find each other. Then OP could thank his parents for supporting his brother's relationship with Jen. They might be a little bit embarrassed in front of all the people. Let's see the community's opinion. Beb252 says, "Your mom downplaying what he did to you is kinda telling whose side she's on. I've come across that piece. It seems like in Turk's eyes, he didn't do anything wrong either. And trying to get a hold of Maria is also trying to steal her from you. You're better off without all of them in your life moving forward. Good luck with your upcoming wedding. Responsible judge says, "Oh, Jesus." I would say ignore them, but we all know they will crash your wedding. So maybe you need security or another location. Oh, and low contact, no contact with your mom, both parents. Mistress Fuzzy Leg says, "Nah, don't let any of them come. That they would die on this hill, despite what your brother did, just shows you that they aren't people worth having in your life. Build your own family." I, 44 female, am turning 45 August 3rd. 2 months ago, my husband of 5 years, 45 male, surprised me and said he booked us a 10-day vacation to Italy. We leave July 28th. My husband is a special ed middle school teacher, so school is out until September. He's been making extra money on the side as a tutor. So we had some extra money and no kids, so I got a great idea. Instead of having a birthday week celebration, I wanted to have a birthday month, like how I did it in most of my 20s and early 30s. I had a plan worked out where we'd spend the 10 days in Italy and then go visit London, Amsterdam, and Paris. I was good at finding good value Airbnbs and have not been in Europe since my breakup from my ex, 50 male. When I presented the plans to my husband, he said that we could go to more cities in Italy and he could help me edit pictures for my photography blog. However, he also said that he needed to have meetings and do administrative housekeeping and he needed to do it in person. I was disappointed and he got upset and asked me to stop rolling my eyes. I told him my ex seemed to work 24/7, but we were still able to plan our time in order to travel the world, 56 countries in total. My husband snapped. If I could, I would, but I don't have the luxury of saying to my boss that I'll call in when you asked everybody to be there in person. He also said, "Sorry, I don't have Silicon Valley money to spend on vacations." For context, I was with my ex when I was 23 to when I was almost 36. My ex was very lucky and successful, and we were able to go everywhere, from Buenos Aires to Monaco to Turks and Caicos. We also split our time between opposite sides of the US. However, my ex was a commitment-shy man who drank a lot and did nothing about other women openly trying to take him from me. He was also switching from saying we were getting married soon to needing a few more years of no stress and kids to decide whether to marry me. Finally, I said we needed to take a break if he wasn't ready to marry, and he broke up with me permanently. What was worse is he married somebody a year later who is now only 27. I was in therapy when I met my husband, so I unloaded a lot about my ex for closure. And I continued to talk about what was my life for 13 years until he said at therapy that he was uncomfortable since I was just reiterating old points. However, I think my husband hates my ex for not what he did to me, but thinks I'm comparing him to my ex, when I'm not. I was simply bringing up the fact that if my ex and I could manage our time to make these trips happen, when he was technically always working, my husband and I could work something out. But he just got snappy with me. I wasn't asking for a 5-star vacation around the world. I just wanted to see more of Europe, and my husband turns it into a competition. Am I the a-hole? Well, OP knew who her husband was when he married her. School teachers do not have huge salaries. She's totally hung up on her ex and still wants to be a sugar baby. Her husband worked 2 jobs to afford this vacation, and it sounded very lovely, but she did not appreciate it at all. He deserves better. Ryan J. Cam says, "You're the a-hole. It sounds like your husband works extremely hard to earn enough to provide an extensive treat, and all you can do is demand more. A full month for your birthday? What kind of person can accommodate that? It would be ridiculous at any age, but in your 40s, it sounds extra childish and unreasonable. And then constantly comparing him to the ex that you are clearly obsessed with. You are a selfish a-hole." Possibly a lemur says, "You're the a-hole. Sounds like your husband tried to surprise you with a birthday vacation and you weren't happy with it. So unhappy that you brought up your ex and all the stuff you did together. I'd be pretty upset myself. Now he will probably be self-conscious, wondering if you're having a good time." Such as the 007 Life says, "You're the a-hole. Your husband works 2 jobs to earn enough to provide an overseas holiday, and all you can do is complain he's not giving enough, and then compare him to your ex? You are selfish." My ex-wife, Carly, 39 female, and I, 40 male, got divorced 10 years ago. We had been married for 4 years, together for a total of 9 years. About 2 years into our marriage, we started trying to have a baby, but no luck. We went to fertility doctors after the first year of trying, and the doctor said there wasn't anything wrong with either of us. We continued trying, but still no luck. Around the 1.5-year mark of trying, a coworker of Carly's got in contact with me to tell me he had been sleeping with her and didn't know she was married. I confronted her about it, and she didn't deny it. She said the pressure of trying to conceive was making her depressed, and the coworker was a welcome distraction. She said the affair was about 5 months. I thought about staying with her and giving it another chance, but I really couldn't even stand looking at her. Being near her made me sick, and I didn't want to be with someone who turns to someone else when they're having a hard time. So we got a divorce. I took a job in another city and moved. I met my now fiancée, Mary, 3 years ago. I proposed to her a year ago, and we found out we're expecting 5 months ago. I don't use social media much, but Mary does quite a bit. She posted photos of her bump and the sonogram on her Instagram and Facebook. Carly either heard from someone in my hometown or saw Mary's posts, but she called me. She called with a number I didn't have saved, so I didn't know it was her and picked up. She started off nice and was just asking how I was. She then asked why I didn't just call her and tell her myself, so she wouldn't have to find out from someone else. I asked her why it was any of her business, and it started a bit of an argument. She hung up after a while. Our mutual friend said I should have told her, because it was very hard on her that we weren't able to conceive when we tried, and it can't be easy for her watching me having a baby with someone else. If I'm being honest, I don't see why I had to reach out to tell her that. We got divorced a decade ago. We don't live in the same city, so it's not like she'll have to bump into Mary and I. We're not friends. Our marriage ended very badly. Am I missing something here? Am I the a-hole? Champifuele says, so let me get this straight. She's your ex-wife. She cheated on you. You divorced. You don't want to talk to her anymore, and you had no news from her. And you're supposed to tell her that your fiancé is pregnant? Either I missed that part, or, as I think, it's none of her business at all. Not the a-hole, and tell her to pound sand. And to stop stalking your fiancé on social medias. It's creepy as heck. Kyle and Karen's kid says, it's been 10 years. If my ex-husband called me 10 years after our divorce to tell me he had a child with someone else when we couldn't, I would assume it was both malicious and creepy. Why would I care what my ex-husband is doing after 10 years? Not the a-hole. Putter G says, if you're the bad guy for not telling her, just imagine the reaction if you'd called her for the first time in years, just to tell her that you and your fiancé were able to do what the two of you weren't. You'd be accused of rubbing it in her face and being needlessly cruel. It goes without saying that it's none of her business whatsoever. I doubt it even crossed your mind. But if there was a tell her don't tell her decision point, not telling her was absolutely the right thing to do.